everybody, and welcome back to another show of Pre-Match Muti. We have the King of the North. He's with us, representing Newcastle. We have, I was going to say Dengasaurus again. It keeps sticking in my head, but I've got another name for you, Wonga. Give me a second. I wrote it down somewhere. But yeah, we've got Wonga over there. We've got the Bluetooth Fairy in the bottom right-hand corner, Mosa Sesele. If you guys want to know why we call him the I can't even speak. Tooth Fairy, the Bluetooth Fairy.
It's because you're not supposed to be saying that, Chief.
That's a classic. That's a classic name.
Yes. What I meant to say for Wonga's introduction was Zuma's son, of course, and then we've got Ashley Young at the bottom.
Yes. Zuma's son. Yes, it's the last show.
How you guys doing, man? I see you guys had a good show without me. Nick did a decent job, Not too bad.
Nick is a good stand-in, man.
Yeah, Nick held us well, man. We don't miss you at all, Claudio. You never missed you at all.
You can't expect anything less from a Newcastle fan, can you?
I guess he was resting all over. He was resting over the weekend just to prepare for that, cool-down game.
But how's everyone feeling for their respective fixtures this coming weekend? Is everyone feeling okay? I know Wonga should have a bit more of a smile than he usually has. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, they surprised me 4 weeks running, yeah. Okay, but actually they surprised me that first week, and the others were just expected. So yeah, I feel like I must just speak to Nick, the Newcastle man, and then I just take his perspective on how to approach matches, because my hopes are high here, and they just kept getting crashed.
Wonga, I've got a theory, man. I think you guys should just play the guys that you play in the Europa League. Play them on the weekend, man. Those guys they're hungry. They are hungry, you know what I mean, for some game time, and they actually play well. So just play those guys rather, man.
Well, there's nothing else to do.
There's nothing else you can do. Because if you're losing every weekend, you might as well play other guys, you know?
No, I feel you.
Guys, Jason's welcoming me back. You guys didn't even say welcome back. Thanks, Jason. Thanks for having me. I'm really glad to be here. I'm really glad to be hosting the show.
Nicholas Logan.
Yeah, Nicholas Lagan. Is it Lagan? Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah, so Nicholas, we'll answer your question. Blame your blurry screen, Wonga. It's just called getting better Wi-Fi connection. However, we're gonna talk about the Manchester derby just after the first game. And I don't know how they always shaft. Yeah. Sorry.
Can I ask, is the Manchester derby saved for last?
Listen, Sello, I've put it in order of the fixtures. Stop getting you always get tight about this, eh? Always. He always says, no, I didn't save it for last. I don't understand this. Eh?
Guys, guys,
I don't think you get the opportunity to ever mention that Man Utd can be the best, save the best for the last at this point.
It's
the biggest derby between city rivals in the Premier League.
Oh, please. Come on now.
It's bigger than Merseyside derby. Currently. I'm not talking about historically. I'm talking about currently.
Thanks, Scott. I'm going to ignore what Sello said. I'm just going to say thank you for greeting me, Scott. And thank you. Yeah, I'll let my mom know. Yeah.
You wished your mom happy birthday there. How did you know that?
I don't know. She's going to love it. I'm going to screen grab it and send it to her.
We mentioned it, didn't we?
No, I didn't mention anything. I
can't remember.
Did someone chat to Scott on the side there or what?
No, I didn't.
Who's chatting? Scott, who's chatting to you there? I don't know what's going on there. Because he's not part of our WhatsApp group. This is a bit... but I'm glad you're here, Scott. I'm glad you're here. Sello, do you want to show everyone your drink of choice? The typical United man has to be drinking his typical drink.
Devil's Peak. Yes. Red Devils.
Dope.
Is that the one that was delivered to you, or is that still coming?
That's still coming, man. That's still coming. Don't worry. That's still coming. I still have some of my old stash. I bought myself a couple actually the last week, and I still have quite a lot because I wasn't home much this past weekend. So I'm going to be drinking that this weekend. Match the derby. Maybe might put some meat on the coals. Getting ready for the match.
Nice.
I'm surprised you haven't drowned your sorrows in those beers at this point in time.
Nah, it'd be a waste of alcohol, man.
I guess.
Look, I know this is a Premier League show, but do we touch on the fact that United got demoted to the Europa League, or just
surely? Please, can we? Can I?
They get demoted. They're just coming.
Yeah, you're just saying they're coming because Arteta's left the spare keys there for Ole Gunnar underneath his mat. Welcome to the party. Is that what that's about?
Yeah, give us the Wi-Fi password.
The funniest tweet of Tuesday night was the Europa League Twitter handle welcoming Man United to the Europa League. They said welcome and they tagged Man United.
That's cheeky.
That is just trolling to the next level.
Yeah. But Shane, let's move on. Let's move on and let's discuss the big game for you, Nick, this weekend.
Can
and
I
that
ask you
is
something? Why am I always started when my team? No, come on, man. Come on.
I think there's a bit of a conspiracy theory happening here, to be honest, because like I said, I take it based on the fixture list and who plays first in the weekend, and it seems like every weekend Newcastle play first, but it's largely to the point of what Sello was saying. We got to start off with the start of the taste, and we know how passionate you get about it, and then we got to keep the guys onto the show long enough to get to the good bit. Thankfully, the Man United Man City isn't necessarily the big or the good bit today, so that's why it's going to be the middle layer. But let's start with the starter. We're going to start with the starter.
Hey, I agree with what Jason said.
What did Jason say? I'm going to check it out now. Alrighty. Nick, speak to us. What's happening with the Newcastle status at the moment with regards to COVID, not COVID? Who's available? Who isn't available? Do you think this is going to be a good game for you guys?
In terms of the club's being quite tight-lipped at the moment. A lot of the big journalists up north, Jason, you need to keep quiet. But in terms of what a lot of the journalists are suggesting is the Premier League, together with the clubs, both West Brom and Newcastle, needed to sort of let the fans know if the game's going ahead, because I think only up until yesterday or the day before was it actually confirmed that the game will go ahead, because obviously we had the 19 plus cases, and I think we were well into double figures between players and staff members. What sort of training they've had in the last the last 2 weeks, I'm not too sure. And I do think Steve Bruce's squad is depleted. However, as I said, the club is quite tight-lipped in the sense that we're not actually sure who is available and who's not available. So the players have obviously not allowed to say anything, because if you look at their sort of social media platforms, they're not saying much. So it will be very interesting to see if it means anything. I think this is probably the best team to play against when you have a problem like this. So if we are depleted, a very out of form West Brom, a team that's struggling, hopefully we can put a team together that is strong enough to get the team over the line. Remember, the whole training ground was shut, so that doesn't necessarily suggest that they were all players first and foremost, or if they were players, that they were first team regulars. So I'm hoping that the first team regulars were the ones with a bit of brains that actually followed the protocols, and maybe the sort of younger, more carefree, maybe under 23s or guys that are just breaking into the first team are the ones that maybe got infected. So it is very unclear at the moment. But I'm hoping for a sort of another victory. We beat Crystal Palace away from home. This should be straightforward, but it's never straightforward for Newcastle United, as you guys know.
Yeah. I don't think we can argue that point. But West Brom, they're leaking. The one positive thing is if Callum Wilson is fit, I mean, West Brom leak goals left, right, and center. So let's hope the lad's playing. Otherwise, we don't know what's going to happen, like you said.
Yeah. So Nick, what I shared with you earlier in the group about that, the female Newcastle supporters, I actually looked at their little video that they have on YouTube, and they were discussing Joelinton, and one of them was critical of Joelinton and his time at Newcastle. I think previously, or the show before that, I spoke about how impressed I was with him against Palace. So do you think this might be the start of something like Joelinton?
I think for me it is. I don't know. I've always, when you spend £40 million on a player, you want it to work. You don't want it to go to waste. But the thing is, Andy Carroll, you want it to work. You hold out and you support the player, but he's been so poor more often than not. But he is starting to come into the fold where he's becoming more effective. So his sort of game is improving when he's got sort of his back to defenders. He's receiving the ball and his link up plays a little bit better. He is very rash in the box. He just snatches at things and he swipes at shots, and his technique sometimes I'm a bit concerned about. But if you look at him when he played in Germany, he was lethal. And then I start to think, is all the other leagues, or are all the other leagues actually that much more insignificant in terms of quality compared to the Premier League? Because he was absolutely flying in Germany, and he has absolutely not got off the ground here in the UK. Yes, he has improved. I mean, if you look at his goal, he miskicked the thing, and there was a deflection. So I don't know. We have to sort of give him time. How much time? I'm not 100% sure. But hopefully he can come right, because we can't just rely on Callum Wilson or Andy Carroll for that.
True. But I think when I think about it, I think we touched on it. We touched on it when Rich was here, that some players that come from other leagues, they play a certain style, right? So we're talking about things. Sebastian Heller and Jolinton, is that the style that they were playing in the German club that they were at was maybe a bit more attractive football. But then also, when you hit a shot, doesn't mean there's no style of play. When you don't get the chances, I guess that's when there's style of play. So I think Jolinton mishitting, that's just a technical skill.
I think the big thing for me, Sello, in that sense, is when Rafa Benitez was here, they had a director of football, or the guy who was in charge of the signings, Graham Carr. And essentially, he was told that these are your options in terms of a director of football. That's how it happens. And he wanted to re-sign, we wanted to sign Salomon Rondon at 29 years old or 30 years old on a permanent from West Brom. And the other option was Jolinton at 22 years old for £40 million. Salomon Rondon was going to cost half the price. And when, you've got a manager like Rafa Benitez saying that this guy isn't good enough, then I start to... This was one of the reasons why Benitez didn't stay, because he didn't have control of who he was signing. Obviously, the contract that he was offered was not what he was worth. So I do agree with you in the sort of, we don't have a style under Bruce, but he's just, if you're a good enough player, you will outshine and you will value your fee essentially. But it is unfair to put that fee on him, because he never chose to be £40 million. That's just an inflated market.
But also, Nick, playing in Newcastle, playing far north there in the cold weather, that's not exactly the prettiest of cities around. And let's be honest,
listen, no. Have you been there? Don't tell me that. Have you been there?
Is it nice in Liverpool? I've been to Liverpool. I've been to Liverpool.
If you're going to say Newcastle is Liverpool,
what I mean, before you get very defensive, what I mean is not everyone is used to the weather in Newcastle. Not everyone's used to that weather.
Have you been there? I'm asking. Just answer that.
But honestly, it is sometimes difficult for foreign players, no matter the price tag, to come into the English Premier League and fire on all cylinders from the get-go. It's they do take some time to at least get worn into the system.
It's been a whole season though, Mosa. I don't know.
Yeah, so he has to now start pulling up his socks and actually being a little bit more responsible for his own performance.
But you guys know it is. It's like you either... Mosa will know, the guys that play, you'll know, like, you get the feeling when you walk into a place, whether or not it's going to be for you or it's not. And unfortunately, the fact is when you're playing professional football, you might have made a decision, but as soon as you walk through that door, you got the wrong feeling, but you got to see it out and you got to make it work. But for a striker, it's far worse, because if you're not hitting the goals, then your confidence starts going lower. It doesn't matter who's supporting you. You just start like Werner for Chelsea at the moment. Timo he's overthinking things a little bit because it's not coming as naturally.
He's doing too much.
Yeah, exactly. He's a very good example of that.
Another thing to talk about in terms of Jolinton is he's actually, when he came from was it Hoffenheim, he was playing down the side. He was playing as a winger essentially in a front three. Sort of drifting inside. So when he's played in that position, he's looked all right. But I don't see him getting down the line and crossing the ball. So he's going to play more as a lopsided wing and closer to the striker, trying to link up. And it's looked all right with Wilson, to be fair. And I think he needs to score a few goals to get his sort of momentum going. And then who knows? I just don't think it can go on for much longer. If he doesn't bang in a couple before the end of the season, it's going to be 40 million wasted. He scored 2 goals for us. He scored 2 goals for us in nearly a season and a half. I don't know.
That's bad. Yeah, time to move him on. And you're going to catch your losses. Yeah, catch your losses. But overall, going back to the actual game, Newcastle versus West Brom, before we move over to the next game, how do you think they're going to set up? How do you think Steve Bruce is going to approach this game? Because surely, I mean, he should be feeling a little more, slightly more adventurous than he normally is.
Yeah, you would like to think so, but anything's possible with the old man there. So I don't know. I think we look quite solid with conventional midfielders. I think I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago when he was playing wide players in the midfield. I think whoever we have in the midfield, I think Shelby needs to start, and I think a Hayden or a Longstaff needs to be next to him just for the legs and the sort of biting. I saw St. Maximum obviously never played the last game, but I'd like to see St. Maximum and your Almirons behind a Callum Wilson running and terrorizing a back four that's conceded a lot of goals for West Brom. But personally, I think if we can go all-out attack against a team here, we don't really have anything to lose. We should be going for it with a sort of good record away from home, better than what we do at home. We should be trying to rectify that in this game especially. But if we are short, it might be a makeshift, plug in holes. And that's what I'm a bit worried about. You might find that an Andy Carroll is starting if a Callum Wilson is out. As I said, it's unclear. We probably will find out more in the press conference tomorrow when the manager speaks. But ultimately, we need to go and attack all out, because at this current point, you're playing against a team that's, I think they're not bottom yet. They're second last.
Second last, yeah.
You win 6 points.
You win this game, and I think we're up to 17 points or 18 points.
2 points behind United, yeah.
Yeah, so
23 to go to safety.
100%. So it's not a terrible start then. And then we've got Leeds the week after, which is, I don't know. Leeds have looked susceptible at times. Yes, they can play you off the park, but those are the sorts of games that we end up scraping through or scrapping it out and end up getting some points. So I think if we can get these points, because it's going to be a tough little period over Christmas. We've got a League Cup quarter-final against Brentford, which is something I'd like to go for, and then we've got an FA Cup tie against that very inferior team below us, Arsenal.
And that's Nick from his new boardroom, guys. He got promoted to Goal Lounge. I don't know. He's got in a slip. I don't think it came with an increase, but he got an office. So moving along to the supposedly the big game for the weekend, the Man United Man City derby. Sello, how are you feeling after this week's performance during this week? And what do you think is going to happen this week? Because I know the question comes up every week in terms of, if Ole loses this, does he keep his job, yada yada. But it's typically it's written on the car, it's written in the stars rather, that these are the type of games he shows up. So how do you feel about all of this?
Yeah, he beat Pep 3 times last season. Ole and Klopp are the only managers in the world who've beaten Pep 3 times. So he's got Pep's number, and I think after a defeat like that. And
I don't know. Wonga's sigh was telling. You could hear his sigh through his mic. It's just like, this guy's talking.
Even I'm over here. It's nice to talk about.
No, it wasn't to that. No, it wasn't to that.
Aren't the stats, right? If Claudio with the 2 goal stats, whatever, those are the stats that Klopp and Solskjaer have beaten the guy 3 times. But yeah, man, Ole is one of those guys, man. When his back's against the wall for some reason, if like for instance, people obviously putting it out there that if he loses, he'll get fired, but he won't get fired.
Yep.
It's amazing the type of support he's getting from the management.
Yeah, because most likely he'll draw or he'll win. You know what I mean? That's how somehow he pulls it out of the bag. I don't know how and why, when we could have rather lost to City and won against Leipzig. You know what I mean? I would have taken that any day of the week. You know, qualifying for the knockout phase and losing to City, I would take that any day of the week. But yeah, man, it was disappointing the way he set up the team. He set up the team to draw. He set up in an Arteta-like manner, you know. No, but honestly, you can't start Luke Shaw in such a big game after coming back from a hamstring injury. You know, I understand Luke Shaw is a good defender, but you can't start him in a game like that. Put him on the bench.
Not against Leipzig. Leipzig are too well drilled, too much energy. How are you putting on the guy who eats all the pies back on after he hasn't played?
Yeah, man. Don't. And Luke Shaw takes a couple of games to gain his match fitness. You know what I mean? He has to have a run of games for him to perform at his best. You know what I mean? So he shouldn't have done that. And then it played into Leipzig's hands. And yeah, man. I think also the Paul Pogba thing might have been hanging over his head as well, because his first substitution wasn't Pogba, was Donny van de Beek. So and the rumors are that he's had a heart-to-heart with Pogba, and that Pogba's indicated that he wants to leave. You know, my question is, in this market, who's gonna spend maybe the money that Man United want for Pogba?
Never.
Because Pogba's best opportunity to leave was probably after the World Cup, where he had an amazing World Cup, you know, and he just come off a good season in the Premier League where he had scored 13 goals. You know, that was the time for him to probably leave.
Well, this is probably why Mino Raiola did what he did. I mean, he sounds like one of those mini sandwiches you give at a party while you're waiting around. But this is probably why he did what he did, because the Oaks like, oh, Pogba finally did something in a game. Let's talk so we can like bump up the field a little bit. But I mean, it doesn't matter what happens next. United's best move, in my opinion, you guys always talk about what a great player is. He's great, but for me, he's not. When you're taking a Steven Gerrard sort of greatness, he doesn't just do things at the drop of a hat for your team. He needs things to be working for him, around him, in order to have the impact that he has. So the sooner you guys get rid of a player like that, in my eyes, the better it is for a club like United, so he can move forward and build on, because he's just caused a lot of shit throughout the years, let's be honest.
But I don't know, man. Like, I'd rather get rid of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer before getting rid of Pogba, to be honest. I'd rather have a manager who has the credibility and the ability to actually orchestrate the team.
I think that's the thing, is that for instance, Pogba has shown more than what Solskjaer has shown. If you understand what I'm saying. Pogba has been at Man United for 4.5 years, right? And he's given us 3 good seasons. You know what I mean? The first season is Europa League victory. The second season was a season where he scored those 2 goals at the Etihad, and also we came second in that season. And his numbers were better than his first season back. And then the third season was an incredible season where he was in the Premier League team of the season, where he scored 13 goals, assisted I think 10 or whatever. So he's had those 3 good seasons. But I think the factors that surround him have deterred from him. You know what I mean? You know, from his performances. You know what I mean? And also sometimes what often happens is that the media gang up on him, you know, unnecessarily so. You know, a guy is not playing, but then they talk about Pogba, but he's not even playing. He's not even on the field. You know what I mean? The guy has an ankle injury. He's trying to heal, but they talk about him in a loss. You know what I mean? Whereas I feel there's a bit of an agenda from the media side as well. And I think sometimes as well is that people don't forget those 3 seasons, the first 3 seasons that he had. Obviously, they're just looking at what he's done recently. But at least what he's done recently, he was injured last season, and he came back after lockdown. And he was a good addition to the team. He helped us.
He was always performing as soon as he was given the opportunity to be on the field.
But let's take
exactly. So that is the problem, is that people from other teams, right? They often look at it and say, but people, if you look at Pogba's performance, right, you can actually see that the guy, he contributes to the team. But then what also happens is people expect Pogba sometimes to be doing too much. Pogba has played different roles in Man United. He's played 6, he's played 8, he's played 10. You know, he's played 3 different positions at Man United, right? When he played 10, he had 23 goal contributions to the Premier League. You know what I mean? And then when he plays 6. As a 6, you're a deep lying player.
Look, all I'm saying. This is all I'm saying about Pogba. Yeah, Kevin's saying, he's been made to be the scapegoat. My issue is, regardless of whether or not he's the scapegoat or not, at this point in time for the club, for him, for his agent, it's just been built up to such a point where I don't think there's going back here. Now, Mosa is saying, okay, cool, get rid of the manager, bring a new manager in. The issue is you're going to bring a new manager in. The same thing's going to happen eventually. Because this club, with a new manager coming in, you're not going to win the league within the first year. So the club's going to be going through the motions. Pogba's getting older. He's getting more frustrated. He wants to be winning things because he thinks he's a fantastic player, as some of the other people everyone says this fantastic player. So he's already got this perception of himself. And I think now the issue is he's got the perception. He believes he is this thing. But now the quality around him isn't there, and he's just getting tired of being the number one that you guys are saying he's the scapegoat. He's getting tired of this. The agent's causing more shit, and for everyone, that's just more of a problem for everyone, especially for a manager.
I'm not saying that scenario versus a scenario where you keep Ole on. It's not like having Ole on board is actually going to win you a season. It's going to win you cups. It's going to win you Champions League. The club is still at risk of being in the same position with that same manager, no matter the talent of players that they'd have coming into the system. He chokes.
He chokes in a big moment. He's choked in a big moment throughout. Because how can you reach 3 semi-finals in one season, right? Well done for getting there, right? But then you can't even get into one final. At least get into one final and then lose the final and say we lost the final. You know what I mean? At least get into the final. He's done something that the other guys before him did. Van Gaal won a FA Cup. Mourinho lost the FA Cup and won a Europa League. Solskjaer got to 3 semi-finals: the League Cup, the FA Cup, and the Europa League. He got to all 3 semi-finals, right? And what happens in those semi-finals? Okay, only semi-final I can say maybe we played half decently was the Man City one, because Man City beat us 3-1, and in the second leg we beat them 1-0, so we lost 3-2 in aggregate. Cool, that's just you lost to a better team. But then against Chelsea, his setup was wrong. He starts the keeper that wasn't starting in the cup games. He starts De Gea instead of Romero. Then already that's the wrong thing. And then in the game, his setup is poor. So I agree with Mosa, but I also agree with what you're saying, Claudio, about Pogba moving along. I won't be sentimental and say I want to hold on to Pogba forever. You know what I mean? Let the guy go, move along. Let's move forward. But also, Solskjaer needs to also go. You know what I mean? You can let go of both.
Let go of everything.
But you know what? On this point, I do think like Pogba gets a lot of airtime, and we should be covering what's going to happen, with regards to what's happening this weekend. But what's pretty interesting about this is that we started talking about Pogba, but it showed up to the fact that, Ole is not good enough for United. Yet the conversation prior to all of this was you saying that Ole is still going to win on the weekend. So him winning on the weekend, how is he going to do this against a Pep with a Man City that seem to be getting back on track? So how's this going to happen? And this question's to everyone, but Sello can answer first. But I'm curious to see what everyone else's thoughts are.
Hey man, Ole just somehow pulls a rabbit out the bag with such games, the big games. He proved it last season somehow. He sets the team up to obviously frustrate and then gets out the best qualities in the Man United counter-attack. I think what may work against him, for instance, is the fact that a Martial is injured and a Jesse Lingard isn't the Jesse Lingard of the match at the Etihad last season. You know what I mean? Because Jesse Lingard, for all his deficiencies, right, he's one of the best pressers in the Man United team. So he's lacking in that counter-attacking, the counter-attacking elements that a Martial and a Jesse Lingard brought to the team last season. But I still think somehow he would be able to galvanize the troops and to get the best out of them. There's been comments that certain players in the change room have given their vote of confidence in him and still believe in him, but they're just doubting some of his selections.
That doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, coach, you know what? We believe in you. You just don't know how to put a proper team together.
You, man.
So listen to me. Listen to me, coach. You know what? If you play Rashford on this side and you keep me playing, then I like you.
But guys, you know what happens? You know how it is. The media throw out wild things into the light, and you ask yourself, does that really make sense? You know what I mean? You can't say such things and then say that, but they don't, rate the way he's setting up. So let's see what happens. You'll probably go with the same formation as against Leipzig, but he really needs to be big enough to drop Lindelof or Maguire. He must just decide on one player because both of them literally are similar and they're not the fastest centre backs. Whereas you've got Tanzebe and Bailly, who are quicker than him and more physical, quicker than the two of them. So choose one because literally that you're getting exposed in your defense because you're not playing with those players. You know what I mean? It'll be good to have Fred back with his bite in the midfield. I think that sometimes can be evident when he's not playing because he has bite. The only problem is sometimes he lacks
quality.
I think City are gonna. I think Man United are there for the taking. I think City are gonna pump them, absolutely hurt them. I think this is Ole's final. I think Ole's gonna go after this.
Nah, he won't. Even if he loses, he won't go.
Ole to stay. Ole is staying, guys. Ole said at the beginning of the year.
Like honestly, as a Chelsea fan, I'm excited to have him stay because I don't think it will hurt our chances of winning the season to have Ole there.
The board is toothless. Leadership is toothless. They only care about how much money the club is bringing in. The only way he gets fired, right? This is always happens, right? He doesn't get back into top four. Do you understand what I'm saying? So every manager that got fired was outside top four. So Van Gaal came fifth, won FA Cup, got fired. You know what I mean? Mourinho was headed in that direction, and then they pulled the plug on that. You know what I mean? So similarly, the same thing will happen to Ole probably. Probably keep going with him until some point in time where they see that they can't get top four, and then they pull the plug.
I think the key player, Nicholas's question. I think De Bruyne is going to be he's going to be the key player for me. I think he'll conduct. I think he'll create. I think they're going to want to win. I think Guardiola also needs to. It's not been a great start for him. He needs to make sure he wins this game.
Yeah, true.
Saying that, I mean, the recent they started bad, but if you look at I think the past 3 results, if I'm not mistaken, they've all been wins, and they've been convincing ones. Yesterday they played a match where they didn't have to win at all. They didn't need to win the game, and they won. I think it was 3-0. Aguero also on the score sheet. And for me, if I've looked at past performances, a key player on my side, I would say would be Mahrez. He's been giving defenders trouble left, right, and I mean we all know how he is. And I think a defense like Man United, especially a defense you actually don't know who to expect actually to start. I think that's going to be very dangerous. I mean, if you're going to put someone on like who's that guy, Williams, who came on for Man United
at left back, he's always going to be forced to turn back
Aguero.
No, you can't.
Yeah, so not Aguero. If he faces Mahrez,
that's another like part where you look at Solskjaer and you're like, Solskjaer.
But you know.
What kind of a question? Can you just touch on it? Imagine, right? Imagine, guys. You're playing a 3-5-2 system, right? No problem, sharp, cool. That's your system. Then you decide to keep on Shaw, who's got a yellow card and just came back from injury, but you take off the person with the best crossing ability. Take him off and keep on Shaw with a yellow card, who just came back from a hamstring injury, and then later in the game you take off Shaw and then you bring on Brandon Williams, who's a right-footed player, playing on the left. And then even worse, he puts on Fosu Mensah and Tonzebe, whereas Daniel James, Mata, and Igalo are sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
Bro. You can see, but you can see the mind of his mind is
Ole is at the wheel. At the wheel. Let him drive.
He's doing the thing. But you know what, Wonga? You mentioned. I mean, Kevin says Aguero is back, and we know what Aguero means to Man City. And also, with January around the corner, we know they're going to spend on players. But for the game against United, it's going to be a tricky one because City's struggles this season has been when they play against teams who sit deeper. And we know what Sello's already mentioned this. United are going to do that. They're going to wait for the counter. Rashford is one player at the moment playing for United where I think is making a big difference. Obviously, you got Bruno Fernandes. You mentioned Harry Maguire, Sello, in terms of, does he drop him, doesn't he drop him? For me, if Ole wants to save his job, he strips that captaincy, says, you remain as my vice captain. Fernandes, you be the captain, and you lead this team. Yeah. You lead this team. Actually, 100%. You know what? Fuck you, Maguire. You sit there, and Rashford's going to be deputy to a Fernandes, and then you sort it. Because then you got guys that are really fighting, and Rashford came out saying today, I think it was, he doesn't want to leave United. So the player's already coming out saying that, and he's one of the most influential players. Let's give him that responsibility. Let's give him the leadership underneath the player who's already doing the thing, build on that confidence, and then move these other players out slowly. But yeah, sorry, Mosa.
And literally week in, week out, Rashford and Bruno Fernandes have to save the antics of Maguire and at the back. They're literally doing the job and carrying the club's character on their shoulders. Rather give them the captaincy. Then players like Maguire do understand that their position is not guaranteed every week. And that's more important than their centre-back position. But yeah, they do definitely need to bench. And if they are playing, I think a striker like Kun Aguero, who Man City have been crying the need to have their out-and-out number 9 back on the field, is going to be looking at that too and thinking, oh, I can't wait to get on the field. I can't wait to turn them. I can't wait to get in behind them and create a lot of havoc.
An unfit Aguero is more dangerous than I don't know what against those guys.
That's why you need Bailly or Twanzebe, people who've got quick recovery. You don't need someone who turns like a double decker, man.
Like a Petro.
and the ball in the back of the net by the time he's done turning.
And then he puts his hands up, he doesn't know what he's done. It's like,
Jack Knives, bro.
The slab is
Jack
heavy.
Knives.
The slab is
heavy. And that's the worst part is because he plays Maguire and Lindelof together, it never works. And that's the thing is that it's not saying that they're rubbish defenders, rubbish, that they can't play football. It's just that as a pairing, football is all about pairs, man. Like a Joe Gomez never looks good without Van Dijk, you know what I mean? So you need to have a pair, you know what I mean? Dyer
hey, please don't speak about your own players. Don't bring in the Liverpool players there. I don't.
Dyer looks like the best defender in the league when he plays next to Alderweireld. You know what I mean? These players look good because of the partnership. So now Maguire and Lindelof none of them look good. Maguire only looks good in the air, but otherwise they don't look good when they play against.
Because he's always in the air.
They never look good, because they're bad pairing. You know what I mean? So they just continue to look bad. So rather, Real Madrid, Varane is lost without Sergio Ramos. It's all about pairing, guys. You know this.
So can I just say this? I want to say something. We had, I think, 7 people watching us live, and since we've started talking about United, we've got 2 left. Guys are tired.
Tired of this team, man. It's crazy how so much has to get resolved at Man United for them to fix up this season, and they've got the capacity, right? They've got a lot of quality players, good characters. And if you look at positions in the field, they can have menacing players in those positions. It's just, man, they never the players that should be there are never there.
It does this.
Let's talk about someone where the things are coming together, like Sello's hand there. We've got the blue derby there, the Battle of the Blues in Merseyside. Everton versus Chelsea.
Yeah,
we've got one side, that's flying, and Everton. They've become just as inconsistent as Newcastle. I don't know what's going on there. Ancelotti, has he lost his way? I don't know.
He's lost his way, man. If we were to play Everton a month and a half ago, I'd be fearful of the team that we'd be coming up against, given the form that they'd had back then. But now they've had inconsistencies in terms of their performances, dropping points left, right, and center, and they're attacking. Calvert-Lewin is still a very big risk for the team, but players like Richarlison and James, you can kind of solve and fix solutions for them, because sometimes it feels like they are forcing a lot of their actions and a lot of their performances, and it's not quite gelling at Everton. So yeah, man, on our side it looks good, right? Like players are coming to the fore. We're now testing a lot more combinations out. Everybody's on song. There are a few injuries to Hudson-Odoi and Ziyech, which naturally I'd say that would give us an issue, but now it's like we've got good replacements who can actually fill those spots, it's perfect in my view. As long as you don't have Kepa on the field, I think we'll be really, really good on the day. That man, every single shot seems to be. It's been a trend for this whole yeah. That every single
Sello,
shot.
why are you looking so sad now?
Kills.
He's talking about a team that's doing well. Your face is going. What? It's very. What's going on?
No, I'm just listening, bro.
Okay.
How must I listen? I don't know. But I listen like.
Yeah, what's wrong?
No, man, I'm listening. To that
Give us a smile, Tim. Give us a smile.
I don't know what he wants me to do, bro. I'm listening.
All right, keep going. We're starting.
Still trying to figure out what to do this weekend.
I'm listening.
Is he drinking Devil's Peak while they're losing or they win? He doesn't know if he's gonna be happy drinking the Devil's Peak, but he's not sure if it's gonna be drowning his sorrows or because he's gonna be celebrating.
I'm listening to a team that's 3 points ahead of me. So
can I make a comment? We started speaking about Chelsea, and now we have an extra 2 viewers.
Perfect
Keep talking.
Yeah, man. So from our side, look, we're firing on all cylinders. There are a few injuries, but even those injuries the players are replaceable at this point in time. And they are good like players that want to actually get more game time. I was looking at is it Billy Gilmore? Wow, he's a top talent, right? And he's very young. Gives players like Mason Mount and Kai Havertz something to think about as well at the back of their performances. So yeah, man, it's a great team. As Kevin says, Kepa, gives us nightmares. If he's not on the field, I have full confidence in the team. If he's on the field, no matter the squad in front of him, if a shot gets taken a goal, you're going to drop. We're going to drop a few points. And then players like James will feel the need to now start taking shots. Richarlison will start feeling the need to actually take shots. So but other than that, I think we should be much better than Everton on the day. Given the run.
Does Giroud start for you guys on the weekend?
Does who?
Giroud.
Oh, yeah. I think he's warranted a start. There's new players that will be providing him with opportunities as well. Like if James starts, he'll get good opportunities there. To whip the ball in. Chilwell will give him good delivery as well. So he can start. But that's honestly back to how Lampard sees his boys recovering, sees them weekend every day at training, and sees how he's looking sharper on the day at the field. But yeah, I naturally wouldn't want him to start because he does give us a different approach when he does come on, right? We can go a little bit more direct and look for menacing approaches in the area. But if he does start, at least he gives us that from the get-go, and that's something that's nice as well.
Yeah, play the form player, man. The guy who's been scoring goals, who's been looking lethal. Play him, and I think Everton's there for the taking. And if you think about the fact that their fullbacks have been injured, and since they were injured, that's when the problem started. You know, they lost Luca Dean, and then Seamus Coleman wasn't available.
Seamus Coleman, yeah.
Then they started playing 3 at the back, but then their wing backs weren't really wing backs. They played Iwobi as a wing back, Fabian Delph as a wing back. So it was like a stopgap. Like it's like almost like Everton have no like players to put on, or they don't even have like young players that can actually push up and say, "Hey man, come on as a left back or a right back." It's actually quite puzzling, and that's actually what I think has brought them back down. And I think Chelsea will definitely have too much for them. But I would like to see Everton giving us something. You know what I mean? Just give us that energy that they gave at the beginning of the season, because it's good. It's good to watch, because you know that Everton is gonna be a match for teams. You know what I mean? You know they had a draw against Liverpool. You know what I mean? Liverpool got them. They were still hot. Now Chelsea's getting them when they're cold, man. And it's
you know what's
but
interesting
the thing
about,
is, they've got BMT players like James and Calvert-Lewin. In my view, they've got players who can turn it on in these big games, and that's something that we have to really keep in the back of our minds going into this fixture.
True. No, true.
What's quite interesting about it is that if Everton do manage to pull something out of the hat there, they then have 20 points, which then would only technically be 2 points behind Chelsea. So what's quite interesting is that despite what's happening with them, the wheels are seemingly coming off a little bit. It just shows you where the league is at this interesting, it's pretty volatile, where a side like Chelsea that we all, on Tuesday, you guys were mentioning about how they're going to be competing for the title. Now, if they do lose the game, a side like Everton are back in it with only 2 points behind them. And that's very interesting. But to what Sello's point was, Sello talking about Lucas Digne, if that's how you pronounce his name, Scott, I'm not sure. You're going to have to give me French lessons, Scottish lessons. And do you guys think, Billy Gilmore, doesn't he sound like he could be on the Peaky Blinders or something? He could be a character on the Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, definitely. He looks like he looks like the part as well. He looks like he could be in the Peaky Blinders as well. But yeah, he's a phenomenal talent, man. I've been impressed with every time he comes on the field. He does look like he wants to get on the field and prove something every time he gets a chance. And
he's a good
it's
talent.
He's a super talent, and it's just a very good headache for Lampard to have, because now players like Mason Mount and them, Kovacic, they have to consider themselves as well. They're very well established players in this current Chelsea squad, but having players like Billy Gilmore come from injury and perform the way they perform is amazing, man. It's really, really good.
But Lampard must be careful with him, man. I often sometimes we forget that these guys are teenagers, man, and their bones, you know, that they're still growing, you know what I mean? And then he got injured because I think he was playing too much at that point in time. I think you guys had a defensive midfield crisis last season, and he played probably 7 games in a row or whatever. And I think that's where he got picked up the injury, you know. And these guys, we just need to remember that these guys are, 17, 18 years old, that they aren't as durable as these crocs.
Yeah, true, 100%. And the injury that we had was in Goalloungetv and the last season, and he's a very good understudy to players like Goalloungetv and Jorginho. Once there's a niggly issue that comes up for one of those two, he can come on. He's still young enough to then say, okay, he doesn't need to play every single game of the season, but there'll be cup competitions, there'll be other European football to play where we can actually expose him to game time.
And rotation,
which is something which Lampard has to consider very, very seriously.
Wonga, with regards to the Everton side, do you think there's anything Ancelotti can do in this scenario?
See, the thing about Everton, I think even Lampard would be wary going to the game, is that they started the season good. I think everyone has seen how good they actually could have been. They were at top flight. I mean, they were top of the log at a point. So I think in the fact that we've seen them be there, I mean, the potential for them to play that well on the day they meet Chelsea it means it's possible. Whether they will bring it is another thing, Claudio. And I don't know, but I do think they do. I mean, according to how they started the league, I think that they do have the quality, like they said. And I mean, even if it was just James and Calvert-Lewin, you brought it to the party. It is enough. I mean, Calvert-Lewin, if he's
top goal scorer for the league, top goal scorer, 11 goals currently, leading the log.
Second most goals.
Many of those goals were good ones. Those were good goals, many of them that he scored.
I've got a midget
I think
goals there.
Yeah, the T-Rex arms, baby T-Rex.
Yeah,
But the thing is, they're two players in that Everton. Look, without Lucas Dean, with the 5 assists that he's already provided, I think he's a huge loss for that side. But I think there are 2 players in that side that the weekend's game is going to suit to the T. And if I take what Ancelotti was able to do with his Napoli side when they played against Liverpool and really frustrate them and sit deep, is that in Allen and Decore, he's got 2 engines. And I think he can really, really ask or make Chelsea ask some serious questions of Chelsea and frustrate them. So possibility of a late goal or a draw, but that's the possibility. Scott Woodhouse with the baby T-Rex. I love it. Yeah. So Mosa, I don't know. Are you worried about those 2? Oh, sorry.
I'm worried about them. Yeah, sir.
Yeah, like even Pickford in goals. I mean, even like I said, that guy at maybe it was just the pass, but he's when he plays a good game, he has a good game. Like it's really good. And he could keep a clean sheet. It's just I mean, Everton is. I don't know. You just don't know the team that can come up, and you're right. But for me, I just think there is a possible. I mean, the eliminate possibility. Sorry, the potential that they have. It can on a day frustrate Chelsea, frustrate them. I think.
Yeah. They could be like, and that's my concern about Decore and Allen. They can create frustrations in that sentiment area where they can decide to sit deep and clean up everything that comes in from our attacking 6. Issue is I see too much pace and I see too much energy in our front 6 to be held back.
Goodison Park is tight. It's a tight little space to go play. If they sit deep, you're denying all that space in behind with your pacey players like Everton who's struggling to get a tap inside the box. You know, it's going to be a struggle
from inside the box.
Yeah.
That means the only thing that went
for him. Yeah. The only thing that went for him that day. Yeah, Giroud could help.
But I'm looking at this lineup that they had against Burnley, guys. You know what I mean? Like Alex Iwobi as right wing back, guys. Come on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
How much can he really give you on that?
Chill well, and Vern are gonna have fun on the left hand side, man.
I agree.
Yeah, and if you think of Iwobi, he won't even give Calvert-Lewin the right type of assistance. Like he won't give him those good crosses to look for great balls to actually hang them in there for him. It's going to be him trying to cut and paste, look for something.
He's more one of those players. He's not a crosser of the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If Everton give you a call tomorrow morning and say, "Hey man, come through play right wing back for us against Chelsea," what would you do?
For Everton? Yeah, man. If they offered enough, I'd score like 3 own goals.
You and Pickford would have a lovely day.
Typical Liverpool fan.
And you know, Mosa, my number used to be number 3, so I'd go back and show them my number. Nicely there.
3 of the best.
3 of the best.
Rubbish.
But moving on to the next game. I think this is going to be a short conversation with everyone here. Fulham, Liverpool. Surely, from my perspective, all that's coming out of the Liverpool camp is based on what happened yesterday. It felt like when I was watching the Champions League game, it felt like they were playing Europa League. I told you guys this. You know, we had a couple of youngsters on the park. They did the job. We got robbed in the end by VAR again from two calls. And Klopp's come out saying, I don't know how. I know you guys, like, you might be finding it funny, but I just can't understand for the life of me how this is all going against Liverpool. And I know I sound like a real, like one of those crybaby Liverpool, like Scotty would say, here come the waterworks now. But I can't understand how these decisions are being made. But it doesn't matter. I think the positive side were the youngsters coming through playing. We had Rice Williams again doing his thing. We had the youngster who's the same height as Xavi. His name is Clarkson in the midfield. He looked good on the ball. He did give away a couple of passes, but that comes with the territory when you're that young. We had Billy the Kid, like Klopp likes to call him. The youngster came on for Fabinho second half, and he officially made the record for being the youngest player to play for Liverpool yesterday at 18 years old. So, I mean, those were all positive, and Jota played. So I think the lineup for the weekend is going to be far too strong for Fulham, despite it being at the Cottages, who, by the way, I don't know if you guys knew this or know this, Fulham's renovating their stadium. So it's going to be a nice game. Yeah, and what's nice is if you guys ever go to the Premier League, if you ever want to watch a game, you go to Fulham because they just always have tickets on sale. They're like a real nice little family club. So if Chelsea are playing there or Newcastle, you can always catch a game there. Now that the fact that they're making the stadium bigger, even better when COVID's all gone, hopefully. But yeah, getting back to the point, I think Liverpool rested Mane yesterday, they rested Firmino, so we know the three big boys are going to be starting on the weekend. We know Henderson didn't play yesterday, another player is going to come in, Gini didn't play, so they rested for this weekend's game, and I think I can't see Fulham doing anything really. I don't know what you guys think.
Nope. I'm the same.
I also can't see Fulham doing anything at this point.
They proved that they are capable. I'm not saying they're going to win, but obviously that win against Leicester was quite profound, away from home against an informed Leicester team, if you want to call it that. I think they lost 3-2 to Everton. That's also probably Everton aren't in the greatest of form. They didn't get smashed by City, but yeah, it might be, if there's a potential banana skin, it could be here because it is a smaller ground. Liverpool probably are in great form, but Fulham don't have anything to lose here. I don't see them getting anything, but I would like them to go and take the game to Liverpool and see.
Yeah, but Liverpool,
I think Liverpool will probably take the game to them and really have the quality on the day to take them on hands down.
And at the back, Fulham are just so bad. Like, they're so bad at the back. They just don't have the quality. And normally how it is, I mean, you got Nick, as a coach, the easiest thing, and it's what Mourinho's doing with Spurs, and he's coming away with it because he's got quality players, but the easiest thing to do for your side is make them organized. Now, the issue that they're having at Fulham is Scotty Parker's tried to make them an organized squad, but what they just don't have is quality on the ball, and they just make stupid errors, and that's what's killing them. The problem is when you've got these footballers that are playing for better contracts elsewhere, so they want to show or prove that they're footballers, so they bet on the ball, and their decision-making tends to go out the window. They take an extra touch because they're trying to be a bit more flamboyant, and this is where the mistakes tend to creep in.
Yeah, I think that they pretty much still a championship squad. If you look at it, they've come up, but they're just not good enough in all the departments. They're just not going to score enough goals. They're going to concede too many. And I mean, in terms of the quality, the starting 11 that they can put, into a lineup week in, week out is just not going to be good enough for this season. Are they going to maybe make a great escape? I don't necessarily see it, but I mean, winning against Leicester is a complete, is it a fluke or is it a complete sort of way in the right direction for them? They've got a they've a tough run of games. Everton, Leicester, Man City, and Liverpool. If they've lost 2 of those, they've won 1. Potentially going to lose on the weekend, but if they can sit in, get organized, and possibly squeak a draw, that's 4 points out of 4 games. I would have taken that any day of the week. But I don't know. It is going to be tough for them, Claudio. I don't see them. I see them fighting a really hard battle, especially on the weekend.
Yeah, it'll be tough for them.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's enough to cover that game. Let's move over to the one in which it actually surprised me with Wonga, by the way, because when you were speaking about Man City, you actually had more excitement. But let's see if the excitement or the twinkle in the eye comes back when we're talking about this fixture. Arsenal, Burnley this weekend. Surely a little bit of a twinkle in your eye. A little bit.
There must be something there, Wonga.
Guys, if there was hope would somehow climb that table, I'd be happy. But
and
Arsenal
have scored 2 goals already.
Oh, today,
yeah. It'd be nice if they could put that form into the league.
No, I told you play the Europa League players, man.
Yeah, it's true. Might have a point, but I don't think they're all lost. That's the only problem. I think that to climb that table, to be in that top 6, I think it requires a bit more than just a one-day motivation. But I was gonna say, with Arsenal, I think now if you look at just the way the fans are sitting, I think most of the Arsenal fans are frustrated. and I'm probably one of them as well. It would be nice to see.
Alaka is probably one of them. He's still leaving a little bit of hope, saying, "I'm not fully there yet. I'm kind of frustrated."
No.
I don't see us winning this game, but I'm not frustrated at all.
You saw that.
I think we got the
You guys had
Arsenal
that. You guys had that. The Arsenal. I saw people that watched the Arsenal TV. You guys saw that little clip, that guy when he went berserk. And I was the only time.
The chair.
Yeah, I was in and out watching the game. I was in and out of that Arsenal TV. And yeah, it's probably the same mood that I was in when I was watching with my with my brother. But now, when I think about it,
guys, I just want to say his brother's bigger than him, and they're not small guys. So I can only imagine what happened to that apartment.
Chairs were flying left, right, and center. We're lucky you still have the Arsenal shirt in the background there.
The other day he had the Inter one. He had the Inter one there the other day. I don't know.
Yeah, bring back the Inter one.
Yeah, but I think that kind of sums up the mood. But I'm thinking, hopefully, I think what Arsenal need now. I mean, Arteta's not going to go. We know this. The players are what we have. I think now the fans just need to pretty much accept it, and they just need to try and get behind the team, because in this situation, what we see most time, like even Wenger with the track record Wenger had, if you think about it, I mean,
you guys chased that poor old man away.
Yeah, the number of leagues he had, FA Cup wins. I mean, he was next
with
to
the Shambok.
It was him. I mean, FA Cups was him versus Sir Alex Ferguson. It really wasn't Arsenal versus Man United. It was really him versus Sir Alex Ferguson. And they ended up chasing him away, the fans. And yeah, I mean, he obviously let go for the better of the club and the frustrations. Then we got Unai, and yeah, now we're here. But yeah, I think that's what
yeah.
Fighting relegation. Nice.
But
the vampire.
They said it. You see, the thing is, even like against the Tottenham game. So guys were saying, obviously, this is the game to win. You know, Aubameyang. They went.
Sorry, Wonga. What did Emre always say? I thank you and a good evening. I thank you and a good evening. Every time it's like I thank you and
a good evening. Good evening with a B.
Good evening.
With a B.
Sorry. Anyway, continue, Wonga. I can't believe we're laughing at your club here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's all you can do at this point in time, dog. Or you cry.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment quickly? We had 6 viewers again, and now we're back to 3 when we started speaking about Fulham.
That's pretty much that's how our fans roll as well. When we're losing, like I'm pretty sure we'll see it now. If they start losing this game, they'll probably be out the stadium. Those 4,000, maybe 2,000 will go. That's what happens.
It becomes empty.
Yeah, those are Arsenal fans for you. But I think, but looking at this game, I don't see Arteta starting any differently to what he's done. The other games, David Luiz, probably one guy will come back. Partey, I think he needs to rest Partey for a month. Otherwise it's gonna be in and out. It's gonna just be in and out the whole time. The guys come. He said he's ready, and Arteta even said when he came, there's like, he's not ready. He's not ready, but you know, Partey, he will run. He will run and play for us no matter what. But
and then he's still pushing him back on.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The guy's injured. He's injured. Let him rest. For me, it's like this. Is he gonna be the difference to win us matches? We've seen now. That's not the case. It's gonna take him plus a few players. So let him rest. Play what we have.
But Wonga, you know what I don't understand? Sorry, Nick. What is it?
No, Marcus asked a question, and he didn't ask a question, but I wanted to ask you: when is it going to be enough for Arteta? Are you going to give him the full season to fail, or?
That's a good question. I also I like Arteta, but the job that he's doing, obviously, it's not what a club like Arsenal would want. A friend of mine was saying the other day that if you look at he says if you look at now Liverpool brought in Klopp, right? Look at Klopp's track record behind him, and now after 3 years, this is what they get. If you look at Everton, they brought in Ancelotti, yes. And they started the season quite well. They're probably going to probably finish the highest they've done in a while, if you can pick that up. Then you look at a team like Man United that brought in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's played, Mulder has won the league there, but it's not the same thing. Now Arteta has come in. He's only been assistant to Guardiola. There's literally no coaching.
Coach experience,
yeah, like not even experience, but there's no coaching credibility, I would say. For me, you would need to go start somewhere else. Look, I like Arteta, I won't lie, but just reading it and looking at what previous clubs have done with their managers. No. Look, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying I like Arteta, but at the end of the day, what's better for the club? You're looking at what's happening, and I don't. To be honest with you, if I look at a team like Man United, the inconsistencies, and I look at what's happening with Arteta, I can't, and what happened with Unai Emery with his track record, I don't see Arteta picking up.
But I like the fact that you mentioned the different coaches, because you know how things work. When trends happen, people start to follow the trends, and in this case for Arsenal, it's a cost exercise where they go, well, we can put a guy like Arteta in because he's not going to be charging as much as the other guys, and if he doesn't work out, we can always get rid of him, and it's going to be cheaper for us to get rid of him. But let's compare him to a Lampard who's come in. Let's compare him to an Ole who's come in. So technically speaking, the three guys. You could even argue, so Ole, you mentioned he had experience in Norway. Frank Lampard at least got a shot in Derby in the Championship, which is arguably the toughest league in the world. And then you've got Arteta with zero experience, who's just an assistant underneath Pep Guardiola, but that was enough credentials. For me, if we're going to go within this pattern, I know Freddie Lindbergh got a chance, but again, not a coach, not the right personality, but why isn't someone who was a leader in the past for a club like an Arsenal, like a Patrick Vieira... he's an underweight. Why is a Patrick Vieira not considered in terms of this
Patrick Vieira just got fired last week.
Yeah, he just got fired himself.
But that's dependent on different scenarios, different countries. What I'm saying is a guy who knows the fabric of the club.
But I get what you mean because
and has some coaching experience.
At least Patrick Vieira had coached in USA. He coached one of the teams there. At least before now in France, he had coached there. And if you look at like Pep,
and the club he took at France wasn't a great club either. So it's like one of those you're working with what you have. At Arsenal, technically speaking, you should have more resources.
I think if I look at even what you mentioned, if I mentioned like someone like Patrick Vieira, I also think he was like the kind of player he was. I think Arsenal's kind of missing some personality like that in the team. If I look at Frank Lampard, I kind of see why he's sort of successful at Chelsea. His personality, doesn't really need anyone like that on the pitch. He could do that himself. If he has players like that on the pitch, that's a plus for him. But he could really control his team from there. But I don't want to say that Arteta soft. I don't know the guy. I don't know him.
No,
but
look, I'm not
saying on the pitch. On the pitch, I'm saying.
Yeah, but I agree with you.
I'm saying
Wonga.
on the pitch.
You saying personality, and I think it's what an Arsenal and a Man United are missing. You've got two boring guys that are sitting there giving press conferences. Like they were good players, but I mean, you've got a Frank Lampard who was Mr. Chelsea. I wouldn't be surprised if a John Terry comes in after being an assistant, and he will get, a Chelsea going just as well as a Frank Lampard. So I mean,
and I love that.
I've got the solution for you, because it does seem like it is going to be it's going to be a relegation battle. So why didn't you take it?
Steve Bruce, Wonga.
It happens every week, guys. It happens every week.
But you know what, guys?
Can we touch on what Scott says? Which I agree, because the coach of Bayern used to be Joachim Löw's assistant for Germany. What's his Hans-Dieter Flick? He was a German national team assistant for 6 years probably even, and he has done at Bayern where he won the treble in his first season. So I guess.
But Sello, you remember
for every successful coach or successful assistant that becomes a coach, there will be an Arteta.
You see, like, but in Germany, remember in Germany, we even spoke about this. They have their sporting directors, and I think if you have that guy, it becomes simple for you to then introduce it. Yeah, if you have that sporting director who's the guy who manages how the club's philosophy and how they do things, then it's easy for you to bring. Well, I wouldn't say it's easy, but then there is a system in which you bring in a guy who doesn't have that much experience. You understand? That's how I feel. In Arsenal, who was there beforehand? When Una Emery was there, and I mean Wenger. When Wenger was there, it's literally him who's doing the deals. He's doing the philosophy of the club. Now you fire him and you bring in Una Emery.
And the same thing at United. It's the same. It's an interesting comparison.
Now he must do the whole thing again.
Yes, and the Bayern Munich example is great.
But you guys have a sporting director. It's just. Is it the right sporting director?
No, but they've also.
That's another question as well. Does he function like a sporting director? Sorry.
But no. I'm good. You must let it go. But the thing is, sporting director also take into consideration that they've changed it. They've had like 3 sporting directors over the last 3 years. It's something ridiculous. So it's also
they had that.
But you call them Claudio. They say they're sporting directors. They're not. That's the thing. In Arsenal, they don't really call him a sporting director. I can't remember what they call, but he's not even really a sporting director. We see him as a sporting director, but he's not. It's not the same. If you go look at the Bundesliga, go look at what a sporting director is. Every team has one, and they operate the same. And it makes sense what they're doing. If you go in the Premier League, and not every team has this sporting director. Not even every team agrees with it, and you can see why clubs will struggle when they take in a team and take out. And I think Arsenal are in that same predicament right now. And now you've got a guy who signed Arteta. I don't know why they signed him. To be honest, no, I'm not saying like it was a dumb decision. I'm saying as in like I really don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know the facts behind signing him. Yeah, he started well. He started well.
Yeah, you're very happy
he started very well. Look, guys, let's be honest. I think Arteta knows his football. I think it's to your point that there's a lot of structural things that probably need to be sorted out first. It's going to take some time. The problem is the manager isn't going to get the time. Yeah, and the politics. He's not going to get the time he deserves, or he might just because of how Arsenal is. But if he gets the further he drops down the table, and the more it does realistically become a relegation battle, the harder it is to justify his job.
I think then it's a simple. I mean, obviously Arteta's for the future, and someone who will hopefully get it right. But maybe just bring in Bruce there to sit next to him, just to organize a team and make sure that you survive. Just there, then you can
survive the relegation battle.
I do want to.
Who's assistant? I don't even know. Who's Arteta's assistant? Steve Bruce could be a good assistant, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just organize them, pump the ball forward there.
Was it not Freddie at the time?
I don't know, but Steve Bruce would rock up with his pies and his beer, and he'd say, "Come on, lads, let's sit and pump that ball along." Andy Carroll, let's sign Andy Carroll on a free. Anyway, but before we move on from the Arsenal thing and the comparisons, if we're looking at a Lampard, you guys mentioned it, Lampard, Lampard, and you can see it with his team, and you can see it when he's coaching on the side, and even if you watch their training sessions, Lampard is a born winner. And he won things as a player. And he was that player leading on the field. Similar to what a Gerrard is. Now, when you mention Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he wasn't. You look at an Arteta, he wasn't. They weren't those type of players. Sure, it doesn't mean they don't know what they're doing. I mean, we get different types. But, you got to find the right club for that. And right now, to what Nick is saying, Arsenal need a fighter. But, enough of that. We're going to move around. We're going to talk about the betting corner. Let's have our predictions, guys, and let's see what's coming up there. Let's see what Jason said, by the way. Jason. Yeah, well, that's also true. Sello was looking down when that was typed up there. That's a fact. That's a fact.
What a fact there. Allah.
Nice. There's our statistician there, boy. Mosa, I love this guy in his video analysis. He's giving us things.
And it'll probably stay this way for this coming season, to be honest.
True. He did the FA Cup.
Always a choker, bro.
All right, so what we're going to do is with the predictions, we're going to move on. We're going to start with Nick. We're going to start with Wonga because Marcus always says Wonga needs to go first. Wonga, Nick, Mosa, Sello, and then we'll finish with me with the predictions. All right, you guys ready for this? First game, Newcastle, West Brom. Have a go there, Wonga.
Newcastle. I think Newcastle will do something. Hopefully, COVID hasn't done them too bad. I said 2-1 win to them.
I think it's going to be a 2-0 win for Newcastle. I think we'll have. I think there's a youngster that made the squad recently, Anderson. I think I'd like to see him play. They say he's something special, just turned 18. So if we are struck with a bit of COVID and he maybe gets a chance, I'd like to see him. But if Callum Wilson's playing, we definitely have a chance. I think it's going to be 2-0 to Newcastle. And Scotty, screw you, man. I hope you're training this shit. I hope they don't rock out.
Oh, man. Oh.
Yeah, your turn. Mosa.
Oh, me. Yeah, with this game, I'm neither here nor there. I think maybe Newcastle may have the benefit of having a longer rest period from the previous game, which will give the guys more excitement to be on the field and more energy. But it's really neither here nor there game, so I'd give it 1-0 to Newcastle.
Yes, boys. Come on.
I have a disclaimer for my prediction. If the key players aren't affected by COVID, Newcastle will win 2-1. But if a Callum Wilson and or a John Joe Shelby have COVID, I see a 1-1 then.
See, Nick, Sello's got his devil's peak. He doesn't want your beer. He's fine. He's fine. I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory there with the West Brom, but I think West Brom are going to keep Newcastle very honest. That's for sure.
So who's going to win? Thought. You said 2-1 West Brom.
Did I say 2-1 West Brom?
Yeah, you said 2-1 West Brom.
Yeah, you said 2-1.
Jeez, you see that? My heart was saying Newcastle. My mind overrid it. And it went. So I guess I'm going to stick with that. West Brom are going to secure 3 points. I got to go with what my mind's saying then. I can't control that. Okay, next game. Man United, Man City, Wonga.
Yeah, I think Man City on a good run of form. Man United, yeah, they could win. But I think this weekend, I think Man City will take it 3-1.
Yeah, I think City are going to have too much. I think it's a 2-0 victory for City.
Yeah, I also
no
think
fans in the stadium. There's no other sort of factors. I think it's straightforward for Guardiola.
Yeah, I think Man City will also be too good on the day for Man United. There's so many things going on in the United camp, which I don't know which team will be pitching on the day. Yes, it is a derby, and Ole's run of form against Pep is pretty good, as you mentioned there, Sello. But I think in this current run of form, Man City should be stronger than United, and the strikers should be rearing to go at City. So I give them 3-1 as well.
Yeah, I say it's going to be a 2-2 draw.
Sello.
It's going to be a classic derby match, up and down, where City gets hit on the counter, but also City's attacking threat will also score some goals, and we've been leaky at the back. So I think 2-2 draw.
It's a pity you support United. I'm not gonna lie, because there's certain things that we agree on. Because I feel it's gonna be a 2-2 draw. Those are my thoughts, and I share the same sentiment with exactly what he said. There's gonna be a counter. We know City are gonna have the ball. We both know both teams aren't good enough to have clean sheets. But that's where I'm at. So well done with that one, Sello. Let's hope we're right there. Listen, if anyone's placing bets, that's probably a result you want to put your money on. You'll probably make the most money out of that one. But next game, Everton, Chelsea, Wonga.
I say 3-0 to Chelsea. Chelsea are looking strong. They got replacements everywhere. I just don't see. I mean, Everton, they could probably surprise, but I don't see it happening this weekend. Let's say 3-1. Maybe they get a goal, but Chelsea still take it.
I think I see it being a tough day out at Goodison Park specifically. I see a draw. Yeah, I see a 1-1 draw. For some reason, I just have a feeling.
Wow, that's a big call.
That Ancelotti is gonna do something. I don't know.
He'd have to be like a very defensive and very well organized against.
That's why I don't think there'll be a lot of goals.
No, that's fair, but it's a big call because I think even if he is well organized in his team, he's defensive and is hoping on those one-off chances for Calvert-Lewin to run onto or find something in the air. I think Chelsea's quality in possession of the football will be dominating the game. The quality they have in all the different facets of the field will just be too good for Everton on the day. And frustrations do creep in this Everton squad. You could see once they do start losing 2-0, not hitting the back of the net in the 60th, 70th minute, they do look a very frustrated side. And I think we'll probably count on that and look to get like a 3-0 from this result.
Okay. I think Mosa said that they'll keep a clean sheet last week, and I said that I saw Leeds scoring a goal, and I think I see Everton scoring against Chelsea, but the attacking strength of Chelsea will shine through, and also because I don't see this wing backs that they're playing with currently. The only thing that they do have going for them is their center mids, and obviously their attack, but their defense is. So it's not a defense that you can say that will keep out Chelsea. So I'd say Chelsea 2-1.
Chelsea 2-1. I'm torn. If their left back was fit, Everton, I'd say there'd be more trouble for Chelsea. I've seen an Ancelotti side frustrate Liverpool on more than one occasion, and just sit deep, and he's happy to take a 0-0 draw. And if he thinks that's on the cards, don't be surprised if you see that for 90 minutes, just sitting back, not touching the ball. So for me, I think it's going to be a very, very big test for Frank, because it's going to be one where he's going to face a side that are going to sit deeper, a bit more quality. This isn't your Burnley. This isn't your whatever. So I'm going to go with a 0-0 draw, actually. That's what I'm going with. And only because Chelsea have been scoring so many goals. Yeah. And I don't think the balls, they're going to feed off set pieces. So if Calvert-Lewin does get any sniff at it, it's going to be a set piece, but I don't think he's going to get anything up front. I think there was a game where I think he only touched the ball twice in the whole game, and I can't remember. I think it was against Southampton. So I think that sort of might happen for an Everton on the weekend. Next game is going to be Liverpool-Fulham.
4-0 to Fulham.
This is why Arsenal are where they are. This is why Arsenal are where they are. You see that?
I think it's going to be a 2-1 win for Liverpool. I think they will concede, but it will be straightforward for them. I think Fulham will score somehow, probably a penalty. They get a lot of penalties. They miss a lot, but I think they fixed that problem. It might be like a VAR problem against you, that vendetta against Liverpool at the moment from VAR. But I think it will be straightforward, but a 2-1 win for Liverpool.
Yeah, I also think it'll be pretty straightforward for Liverpool. The Klopp did manage to rest a few of the big players for this type of occasion, so I think they'll be firing on all cylinders and rearing to go. So I think a 3-0 win for Liverpool over this game.
Yeah, no, Liverpool will win, but I feel that Fulham at home will want to try and do something. So I think maybe Ademola Lookman, he's probably their best player. I think he'll score a goal.
Yeah, I think they're going to try and hold out, but I think after 20 minutes, if they concede within 20 minutes, it's going to be a long game for Fulham. If they can get to the first half with a clean sheet, then they're going to reduce the scoreline. But I think it's going to be 4-0 on the cards from my end. Last one, the most exciting one for all of us.
The relegation battle.
The relegation battle there.
6-pointer.
Arsenal versus Burnley. Wonga, let us hear it.
I think like Burnley now are looking at this game and they won 3 points, not just one. There's a possibility of them getting 3 points and they might go for it. But obviously Arsenal have to win. And I thought it'll be interesting to see, like Sello said, if Arteta actually plays the players I mean, based on merit. I mean, they're doing.
I think,
the guys who are winning on the weekend, if he plays them. But yeah, we'll see. I think for me, we're not scoring goals. I can't expect a lot. So a 1-0 to Arsenal.
I think for me, I think this is exactly what Sean Dyche wants. He wants to play against an Arsenal that try and keep the ball, that are out of form. He's going to sit in. He's going to kick them off the park. He's going to be physical. It's going to be one of those ugly sort of days out for Arsenal. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tricky occasion for Arsenal. I just don't see the energy that they can bring to this type of a performance where they can actually like menace Burnley or actually even impose their own strengths onto the field. And that's a tricky thing for Arsenal. So I think, yeah, they should have enough quality on the field to get a result. So I won't go with Jason Sergel's 1-0 to Burnley. I'll go 1-0 to Arsenal. They'll just scrape a result from this game.
Yeah, no, guys. Arsenal need to win, guys. You know what I mean?
That's what it is. They need to win. That's what it is.
We need a win, guys. Nick has more wins than Wonga, guys. You know what I mean? So we need to bring up the morale of the entire group. We're not saying we must win all our matches, but we're just saying at least after the games that your team needs to win at least one, so you can at least be happy. You know what I mean? But Wonga's been losing, consecutively. You know what I mean? So please, man, please give us a 2-1. So I say 2-1 to Arsenal.
2-1 to Arsenal. I mean, they haven't won a game in 4 Premier League outings. That's something. That's wow. I don't know. That's worse. Like I said, it reminds me of when Liverpool had Roy Hodgson in charge, but far worse. That's what it kind of reminds me of right now. Yeah, I think, I was going to say like a 1-0 victory to Arsenal, but now that, Nick put some valid points with Sean Dyche, and he's a dickhead. He's a proper dick.
Hey, and he's got his... Do you remember what Sky said about Burnley, guys? I'll never forget that episode, guys. Every time I watch Burnley play, and Sky says, "Oh man, Burnley are so shit, man. They're just that team that you just need to have out of the Premier League, and because they just kick the ball,
they bring nothing.
And they kick it to they kick it to Chris Wood. Chris Wood headers the ball, and then when it's to his feet, he doesn't know what to do with the ball, and he just loses the ball. Every time I watch Burnley or think of Burnley, I just remember what Sky said. I'm like, damn, man, you saw adds nothing to the Premier League.
Yeah, no, you know what? Screw that. Arsenal are going to win 2-0. That's it. Any final words? Final words before we end this episode.
Wonga, you're getting your 3 points. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, please, man. We need you, man.
Yeah, that's thank you for joining us, everybody who's been there. Jason, you're a legend. Kevin, Scotty, who else is normally here? Nicholas, and obviously our main man, Marcus, and anyone else who is watching us today. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Pre-Match Muti, and if you really want to get in touch with the Sangoma, Mosa knows a few people. That's how he got his professional football career. So thank you for watching.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.